Welcome back. We will be looking specifically at a good performance report, as the requirement states. When you think about what exactly is a good performance report, there are four main considerations. We call them purpose, audience, content, and layout, as far as your syllabus is concerned. However, one thing that we want to highlight is that uh, yes, you do check whether a performance report through these four lenses, but in the exam, just whenever you see a question saying evaluate the performance report, don't just right away start thinking that, okay, I'm going to have to evaluate all four. It doesn't work like that. The weightage to each four may be different. The context, you have to very carefully consider the case. You have to read the question, because the question may actually note that one of those points, one of these 4 points, are the actual major concern. So, bulk of your answer should be focused on that concern or that point. So, that is a concern that I want to point out. Even the examiner has listed here, or the study text. So, be very scenario specific. That's the advice. This is something I'm very uniform about in every session. Be very scenario specific. Answer the question. Look at the question, which is now in part of the description of the question itself, right? Those days it used to be, the requirement was plain and simple, it was given as a separate one. But now uh, you don't get it in the requirement section. The question is clarified well, in detail within the content of the question itself. So absorb it well. Be scenario specific. On that note, let's take a look at what are the four main considerations when you want to evaluate or when you want to develop a good performance report. It's fairly straightforward. First thing is purpose. It has to serve the purpose. Now, in general, for your company, it's the mission, achieving the objectives. So that's your purpose. So if a performance report doesn't really serve that, it doesn't at a strategic level. Say, for example, a strategic performance dashboard doesn't really help you see whether we are achieving the critical success factors and the KPIs related to that, which is what we've identified as the important factors that will take us to the mission, right? So if we are not achieving that, if we are not measuring that, if it doesn't help us get a view on that, that performance report is actually, or the dashboard is not actually very effective. So that is what you need to understand in that aspect. So you can actually have performance report for each level, each company or corporate hierarchy level. There will be a difference because at each level the objectives are different. As you know, the KPIs will get cascaded down. They will be more broken down. So if you have a performance report for the operational level, that will not be the same for the tactical level, and it will not be the same for the strategic level. So you have to understand that. So it will be dependent on the CSFs and KPIs you identify for each level. The second is audience. You just have to make sure that the report caters to who exactly it goes to. So even earlier, the purpose at the purpose discussion, you saw that different corporate hierarchy levels will require different reports. That is the same thing here. The audience will have to be carefully considered and catered toward. For example, you won't have a very cluttered, disorganized, and filled with numbers and a poor presentation to the senior directors of the company, right? They will be quite actually their valuable time will get, what do we call, wasted if that kind of report goes at them. And companies are very careful not to do that and not to disappoint them. Not that I agree with it, but sure. So you have to very carefully consider the audience. Now the audience is broader. So even if you're reporting, if you're developing a report to outside, to the government, to the tax authorities, to the consumers, it could be a corporate sustainability report, anything, you have to carefully consider the audience. The third is the information. So the information that you provide should match the purpose, should help you in terms of comparison. It should have internal, external information. It should have qualitative, non-qualitative, and quantitative information. It should look at both the areas we are doing well and the areas we are, falling back at. And it should have also non-financial and financial information, etc. So it should be well balanced, and it should have all of these aspects to it relevantly, right? It should be relevant. So that, and finally the layout, the way you design the report, the way it's titled, the way it looks, the way it feels, how the information is presented, the use of graphics and visuals, data visualization tools and results. All of that is a big part of the layout. So you just have to make sure that um, it's easy to maneuver. And of course, nowadays with technology, there's a lot of room to do this, and it's very easy. So those are the four main considerations. There are a couple of examples here. This is also one. Meti is actually from a past paper. So you can. This is a performance report. See, actual forecast, latest quarter to previous. Have all the KPIs on the left. So is this useful? Right. The question is critically assess the existing performance report and suggest improvements to its content and presentation. Something I have to remind here is that a big mistake that students do and did even in this question was when they read this question, they tend to forget this word report. So they read it as critically assess the existing performance. Don't ever make that mistake. Ever. Do not make that mistake. You shouldn't be missing any word from your requirement. If you do that, you're going to lose out a big time. So when they say performance, assess the report, that's very different to assess performance. So make sure that you keep that in mind. This is extremely important. And on that note, we will be moving on to the next segment in the next video. Thank you and good luck.